Quite an enjoyable week after the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you win an epic game like that. It's it was a great feeling. Players done so well, and a nice feel for them and for everyone.
I see that the players get a few days. You mentioned before that it's important that the players recognise and enjoy their success, isn't it? Is that something that you're always in the forefront of your mind?
Yeah. I think celebrating victories at the right moment and the right time is very, very important. Otherwise, why do you do it? So it was so important, especially with the free week and playing on the Sunday. We could do that. So we gave them a couple of days just to recover physically and mentally and enjoy the victory, and then we've been hard at work from there.
Is that because, well, not because, but partly because it's changed days with some celebrations? 30, 40 years ago you'd allow them to celebrate and you wouldn't know if they'd come back into training when they were supposed to, but it's a two-way trusting. You can trust them to go away and celebrate, but also look after themselves and not push.
Yeah, and listen, not everyone did. Obviously, people celebrate in their own way, but I think what I said to the players was that, you're deserving to celebrate, and also celebrate with your family because they deserve that, for everything they do and the sacrifices they make, the wives and the girlfriends and the parents and the kids. It's so important that they can celebrate these moments, and especially in such a game of that magnitude. And also for the supporters, it was so tense for them in the game. And if you talk about a Celtic Rangers game and the levels of anxiety, it doesn't get much higher than that. In terms of the game, the way the game flowed, getting into extra time and then to get to penalties. So that tension and anxiety that all fits around that game. For the players and the supporters to celebrate that, they have to do that. That's what this game's about. So and then we then draw a line under it and look to our next game.
The same must go for the manager, right enough. That tension and anxiety must be 100 times more for yourself. But do you get a chance to celebrate it, and how did you?
How did I say it? No, I went back to the stadium. I had a nice couple of drinks with the people there and staff and everything, which was great. Went back home. You don't sleep well after games like that, so because you go back, you watch the game, and you try to analyse and review. So Monday was more sort of down day with family. Tuesday I flew to Dublin to have a meeting with Dermot, me and Michael and Chris and sort of staff, and just talking about January and just what we normally do. And then I got back from that and I watched the B team final. So and then obviously back into work. So for the manager and the coaches, we're always looking forward, but of course after the game and the day after, you have to celebrate.
Just going to say that, does that meeting suggest that every victory is gone immediately almost? You've got to keep looking forward and planning and progressing.
Yeah, I think we said before, but you don't wait for the future to plan for it. So, and it has been the great aspect of here. We have a board and a major shareholder who are so invested in the club and the success of the club and how they lead the club. You only need to look at over the last couple of decades how the club is run and organised, which is at the very, very highest level of any business, how it can be. But there's also a real passion for the team, clearly, to do well as well. So it's so important. Dermot is absolutely entrenched in the whole, his whole role of Celtic as a major shareholder, but also as a supporter. So, first thing he does get up in the morning is think about Celtic, and last thing at night he thinks about Celtic. And so there's always that connection. There's always that, with great level of intelligence on our board and expertise and experience. So, and that's what we try to use to the best of our advantage. So for us, it's always about planning. It's always looking forward, and obviously the key people within that, talking about it is important.
He doesn't get a lot of thanks and praise, Dermot, but I think over his 30 years, I was actually looking at this, and it's like 45 trophies during his tenure, and it's 38% of Celtic's total. I mean, he gets this kind of absentee landlord thing, but as you say, his commitment is pretty thorough, isn't it?
Oh, his passion, his energy, enthusiasm for Celtic it's unswerving. His commitment to the club is incredible. Yeah, he's not one that wants to be out there, and rightly so. He's not going to be out there. You've seen his face all the time, but that should not mean, and it certainly doesn't mean that he's not interested. Because I can tell you, from myself, having worked here twice, I know the passion and the love he has for Celtic and its club and as a supporter. So yeah, it's these types of things sometimes come up if the team loses a game, but it's all a myth. He's so unswerving in his commitment for Celtic, everything he gives to it, and obviously the support I've had from him over my 2 spells has been absolutely incredible. So it was nice really to get together with him and spend some hours just looking at where we're at and how we go forward January and beyond.
You mentioned the future there, but you've been linked with Kieran Tierney throughout this week. What kind of memories do you have of having him as a player previously at Celtic?
Yeah, we'll always be linked with top players, and especially players that have that are one of us, you know. So no, Kieran was an instrumental part of a really successful period when I was here, and his talents then took him on to another challenge in the Premier League. So yeah, but we'll be linked with lots of names. Kieran, obviously, naturally because of his situation, but for us, we'll only ever tell you when we sign a player, once he's signed.
And in terms of Greg Taylor, plays in a similar position, is there any update on his contract situation? Is he a player you'd like to see here beyond summer? Do you expect him to be here beyond summer?
I would hope so. I think I've said it numbers of times. He's so important for our squad, Greg, because when you want to build a squad, it's never just about starters, it's about the whole squad. I mean, you want a depth to that. So he's a player that I've really enjoyed working with so much on and off the pitch, and I've said it before and I repeat, I really want him to stay. So I'm hoping that between the club and his representatives we can organise a deal. But I also understand he's 27 now. This will be one of the last big contracts of his career, so he has to make sure that everything is right. But what I do know is I really want him to be here. I love working with him. I really enjoy that aspect of seeing him every day because he's up for every training session, and for me he's really important for us.
And in terms of team news, we saw James Forrest in a protective boot on Sunday after the final and in crutches. How is he and how is the rest of the squad for Sunday?
Yeah, James will be probably 6 weeks. Yeah, he had a real sort of bad blow in the game, and to be fair, for him to carry on was he showed great courage to do that. And but yeah, sadly we will miss him for up to that length of time. So Ali Johnson, we just need to have an eye on as well over these next couple of days. If he misses out this weekend, he'll be fine for the next game. But we just manage that injury that he had. We've had a few bugs and bits and pieces going about, so hopefully they can tidy themselves up over the next couple of days, and we have most of our players available for the weekend.
What's been your take on some of the fallout from Sunday, Brendan?
I've only seen little bits of it, if I'm totally honest, because I've been busy doing other things. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. You know, I've been involved in 20 games now, and there's always a narrative of something after the game, whether it's ascended, whether someone should have been sent off or not, or whether it was a goal or not, or whether it was a penalty or not, even when the penalty's offside. So all these things all get thrown into the mix. So yeah, so I don't really think a lot of it, to be honest. It's there. it's a talking point. My only interest was for us to be there and come out of Hampden with the trophy.
Is that important your players get the credit they deserve for winning that trophy?
No, I think listen, it was, winning is hard. Winning is hard. And it sometimes is made feel, probably here, that it's something easy. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's certainly not an easy thing to do repetitively, what this team have done. So if you think of over this calendar year, this team has only lost twice. Once when we went down to 10 men in a Borussia Dortmund game against a Champions League finalist where we were outclassed on the night. But the mental strength and the mentality and the consistency show that what this team have done, you know, I think the supporters recognise that, which is the most important. So, as I said, we hope we can continue that to the end of the season and then get into 2025 in a good way as well. But it's always going to be that way. And like I said, there's always a narrative that surrounds these games, whichever it is. But what's most important is, from a manager and your team, is you go there and you win. And that's what we've done.
I was going to say, is that an important thing, the culture you've bred here, that even when there's adversity, even when things go against you, maybe even a refereeing decision, you do the job, you get the job done. And that seems to be the kind of mindset here.
Yeah, and that's it's the strength of mindset, because in the pressure moments, this team delivers and have delivered. And that's what we did last weekend. Finals are never great games sometimes. They can be a bit bitty, and we weren't quite in our flow, and that's a credit to Rangers as well, because they defend it well and work very, very hard. We had a high percentage of the ball, scored good goals, give away disappointing goals from our perspective. So you have to respect that. But the pressure moments, this is a team that has delivered, and but it's something that they do every single day. They work to that. And that's something that makes you really pleased with as a manager, but it's something that it comes from a mindset every single day.
VAR's been in the spotlight this week, but do you think VAR in general has got better the longer it's been in the game here now?
I just think there will be issues around it, and there always will be. I think we all recognise that it's still ultimately a human decision. I think it's also worth pointing out the human side as well for the officials. You know, I think it all gets lost and all of that, but there's a human element to it as well that we've got to think about. We're the guys, so we all know I will make mistakes. Everyone will make mistakes. You know, you can see actually in the incident why they came to the decision, because the early foul wasn't a penalty. You know, the contact, then the pull, still not on the line. You know, the argument is, well, it's continued on and gone into the box, and obviously Willie and the guys who specialise in refereeing has come out and said it's a penalty. But you can see why the officials didn't give it. So, but like I say, there is a narrative on all of these games, whether it's penalties or sentence off. So this was the narrative for this one. For me, I'm only worried about winning. And we won the game. We deserved to win the game because we dealt with the pressure really well. And we'll move on to the next trophy.
I mean, you had won at Motherwell earlier this season where Dyson should have had a penalty and given a handball against him and so on. Do we just have to accept that these imperfections are in with the bricks with VAR? It can't be perfect as long as human beings are kind of operating it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Woolley and where he's trying to take it and to be transparent and everything else is only good, you know, because there's lots of talk for years that there's not that. But so he's coming out and he's trying to be open and honest and hopefully helpful to the staff. But there will always be that, because it's still down to interpretation. You know, we've got good officials up here. They're doing their very, very best. Some of them aren't full time, but a lot of them aren't full time. That's the reality. But they're still giving everything to make the best decisions, and they won't always be the right decisions. So yeah, it will always be a part of it. Like you said, the Maeda case, the Hearts game, one of the games that we have lost, that was cleared up afterwards. It shouldn't have, that was a penalty that we should have not had. So, but these things happen.
Can I just get a quick question, Dundee United? Sorry, just real quick, just looking ahead to Sunday, it's quite unusual you play a team for the first in the Premiership just before the new year. What kind of challenge are you expecting from Jim Goodwin's team?
Yeah, a tough challenge. I think it's. I'm really looking forward to going there. I've never been to Tannadice, not faced them as a manager, but I know the history of Dundee United growing up, following Celtic and the what they were back then and how tough a place it was to go. But I expect a tough game as well. I think Jim's organised his team ever so well. They mix the game up how they play, and so we go there. We know that we have to be really good in the game, and that's what we aim to be.
Stephen Rash, Brendan. Sorry, Stephen Rash. There seems to be some talk he might be on his way out in January. Is there anything you can say on that?
Nothing to add on that. Stephen again, very much been a part of the furniture here. A great member of our squad. Naturally, we will have some players in our squad that will want to play games, and Stephen may well be one of those players. But he's a brilliant servant for this club. What he gives, the likes of him and Tony plays a little bit more than what Stephen does. But these guys are still absolutely critical to the culture of this club. But of course, there's sometimes they then have to think about themselves and they've got to think about their careers. So I'm pretty sure there'll be some movement with some players looking to get game time and play, and we all respect that.